Hi everyone, it's Collage Wednesday. We're going to have a lot of fun making the cards you just saw, so let's get started. So here we go. Here's our beautiful card. The colors are a little washed out. I'm hoping you can see the beautiful pink. The petal pink is such a beautiful warm color. And we collaged using this stamp on the whole back side. Remember on Tuesday we did the big peony, this one. Well, this little one is smaller yet. It's this one right here, but we use this medium-sized one to sort of create a beautiful background as a backdrop. And I'm going to show you how to use the Stamparatus to use the Stamparatus to get really good crisp color on here, because sometimes when you stamp with regular ink, you lose some of the color. So we're going to do all our coloring right in the Stamparatus and then restamp as a final shot to really clean that up. So let's first of all do our background, and I'll show you how that's done. I am going to use Granite Gray, which I don't, yes, I did use that. I did put that down. I'm noticing I missed some of the things. You know what? I'm going to wait because we want to, first of all, do our stamping. If I had it all set up in the Stamparatus, because I've got my Stamparatus all set up to go. So I just remembered why we do this first. So here's my Stamparatus. I've put my paper in so that it fits really well. I think I talked to you about this the other day, how I lay my stamps face down and then pick them up and then do my stamping. And I am going to use basic gray for this. I want it a little darker so that it really sets the tone for the card. And I'm going to go ahead and ink up my stamp. And because I'm working on watercolor paper, I need to apply ink several times. It's not that my pad is dried out, it's just watercolor paper takes more time to get ink. It just absorbs it all. So I'm going to go ahead and use the back of my hand to sort of spoon or get the ink to go on there. I also pick the pebbly surface side of the Stamparatus. And that's pretty light. You can really see how light that is. I didn't want Memento because I think Memento is just too strong. But if I just keep adding color, I will darken this up in no time. I think I went 3 passes before I was happy. And something special like this you want to take your time with. You see how that's already a lot brighter. I'm going to go one more time. I probably could use re-inking my pad, but so now what I'm going to do is actually color everything right here, because I want to, at the very end, come back and restamp over this. So if I don't move this, I can do all my coloring right now. And I'm going to start with Mango Melody as my dark yellow center. Remember, I like to go out into some of the areas with that color, and then I'm going to use my light one to sort of finish up the inside and blend all the colors together. Might as well do my leaves. And because my leaves are not a major part of my card, and I already have some dark lines in here, I'm not even going to get into using dark mossy meadow, because it darkens itself up pretty well. Now I am going to take 3 colors to do the flower, and that's going to take a little time. So I am going to be working with Petal Pink and Pumpkin Pie, light Pumpkin Pie. But I'm going to start with my darkest Petal Pink. And again, yesterday we talked about, or I think it was 2 days, no, yeah, it was yesterday. We talked about how I like to use the dark edges of the stamp to help me decide where the darkest colors go, because it's already been done by another artist, so why are we reinventing the wheel? Hopefully that artist was good, but never been disappointed with Stampin' Up! Images. So I'm just going over the dark lines and coming out a little bit into the area that's whitish or white. And then I'm going to come back in with my lighter petal pink to color in and fill in these areas that have not been colored in. I am going to come back with my pumpkin pie that's darker just to brighten it up a little bit, and I may still come back one more time. I just have a tendency to think that the image needs several go-overs so that I really create that pop of the image that I want. And now I'm taking my light pumpkin pie and going back into the darkest, deepest recesses to add one more level of value. And that's starting to really pop now. Beginning to think I need new glasses because things are starting to get hard to be seen. And I am going to go back one more time with this one, the dark petal pink, just to extend where I put the pumpkin pie a little bit. All of this will dry much lighter than it appears right now, so if I over exaggerate, it still will work very nicely for me. Okay? So I think I'm happy with that. I am going to put a little touch of this color right in here again. And now the last step is to go back and re-ink this to make this pop. I probably should give it a couple seconds to let the alcohol dry because we want that to dry well before we put on another layer because it might bleed if we don't. So I am re-inking this with basic gray just to give it a nice little bit more of definition. See how that really popped that out? Just my leaves are darker. One more time. Never say that I don't like to do too much. Now the nice part is I can now take this off and use it to decorate my card backing because I'm done using this. I am going to hand cut this because fussy cutting works the best for this. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on a block so we can get this done. And I am going to pull my cardstock out. And I have a full-size sheet of paper. You see how that's at regular 4 1/4? The reason being is I love to cut that little strip in there. So what the technique I used for this, and now I'm using granite gray, is I stamp once in full color and then a second time in the lighter version. So once in full and then a second time in the lighter version. And I am going to have spots where I'm going to have holes, but I'll show you how to fill that up. I'm not going to be able to get that one in there, so I'm just going to leave that be. Now, something that I did accidentally was that I accidentally put a flower right there, and then I could cover it. So my card might have the flower up higher, this card that I'm going to do. Now, along with the flower comes this beautiful little thing that it's very hard to see, and I like it because it's subtle. So I'm going to stamp it a couple times in here just to fill in some of my areas. And again, I stamp twice, once and a second time like a stamp off. And it just sort of fills the blank little areas that I have. One more time. And that sort of took care of that area. I've got a nice overall pattern now. So all that's left now is to stamp our sentiment, which I think we'll do next. I took a 1-inch strip and my new punch that's called Lovely You Labels. And I'm going to go ahead and push this all the way in and punch out. Sometimes I like to look at the back to make sure it's nicely lined up, because sometimes it does get crooked in there. Now, see this little piece? It's going to be very instrumental in our process of finishing it up. So we need to keep that. I'm going to go ahead and stamp this right where I would like it. And I'm going to use this little strip to help me decide where I want that edge. And it's going to make it tiny. Oh, it's crooked. Flipping it over. Sometimes they're very hard to get nice and straight when you're going in a different direction. Oh, that's much better. So what I'm going to do is use this little piece to help guide me as to where I need to cut that. And what's going to happen is it's going to be super tiny sticking it in there. So we're going to have to play around with it a little bit, but I'll show you some little tips. So I am going to slide this in all the way. And it's hard to see whether it's going to be straight. So I'm going to use my pokey tool to help me sort of straighten it out. You can see it's a little crooked. So I just want to center it, make sure it's sitting just right. I think that piece is a little crooked. I might have cut it a little crooked. Let's see how that looks. Oh, I can't even see it. So, well, we're going to be free here and just accept what we get and don't throw a fit. As my niece used to say, you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. See how good I did. That's not too bad. I am so hard on myself sometimes, and it's important to allow yourself to be you. It's okay if it's not perfect. Okay, so we're ready. The only thing we have to do now is cut these out. I love this Prize Peony set. I just think it's beautiful. It has a lot of cutouts. I am already looking at our next catalog, which will be coming out in August. I can't believe we already have another catalog coming out. Can you believe that? That's one of the nice things about being a demo, is you get to see things ahead of time. So I'm already working on placing an order of some of the new things that are going to be coming out in our, I guess they call it now, occasions catalog, or maybe it's a holiday catalog. They changed the name so many times I forget. But there are very Christmassy things on the cover, as well as other occasions. So I try my best to do a pretty good job cutting, but I don't pretend that I'm going to get it actually perfect. My girlfriend Jan is the master at cutting things out. But I don't have my glasses on, so I'm doing the best I can here. Something about fussy cutting is fun, as far as sometimes in the evening I like to do all my fussy cutting when I'm sitting and watching TV. Okay, that's it. We're all set to rock and roll now. Okay, I can save that piece of cardstock for something else. I will trim this down a little bit. I'm going to use my little chopper and just cut off a tiny bit. I want it to be 4 inches. A little harder with this one because I have to just guess, but I can use this to help me. I think a little bit more. There we go. That'll help bring that flower down too. So now I can go ahead and glue this right to the inside of my card stock. So that's the first thing I'm going to do, is just put a little line of glue on here. Just lay that right on there. Make sure that it's on there nice and straight, because sometimes it doesn't sit quite right, and I don't like it when it peeks out the back. There. That looks nice. It's just a nice little touch on the inside, isn't it? I'm going to use my bone folder to sort of dampen that up and get it a little tighter. I better close this ink because I have a tendency to stick my elbow in it and then get it on everything. There we go. Now, before I glue this down, I need to put my ribbon on here. So I am going to get a piece of this ribbon. We're going to use that technique that I love, which is just to tie off a little knot and then trim it. Something I don't know if you can see or tell, but instead of pulling the knot down, I pull the bottom pieces up so that I get a little bit more ribbon out of it, and I get a smaller little bow. Okay, and again, because I want this more to this side, I'm going to cut, instead of cutting it right down the middle, I'm going to cut a little bit more to that side, and it's still more than big enough. I'd like to just lay this on here and see how I like it. See how I can just put it right over that flower, because if I throw it off, it can look strange. Yeah, it doesn't look too bad, but I do like it lined up. So I'm going to move my bow up just a tad. And with this, I am going to use my tape runner that I always like to use, our new tape Stamp and Seal adhesive that I really like. Okay, there we go. Now I can use glue to get that down on my paper. Some people call this glue the green glue because it comes in a little green bottle. Okay, card is coming together. Now, I want this flower popped up, so I'm going to use dimensionals, but I want to sneak my leaves under there. So I am going to just put two of these right in the center. And again, I'm going to line it up with a flower underneath. Just don't want that to get stuck down. There we go. Just trying to line it all up. There we go. And then I can snake these two guys underneath by putting a little glue on the back side. And then just tucking them under there. Oops, went too far. And then to get this to sit, I can put it anywhere I want. It doesn't have to be where I first put it. I think I like it there, because then I have room for my little dots. Yep, I like that. I'm going to tighten this up a little bit so I can get that to sit a little bit better. A little loose thread there. So I am going to put a dimensional in the upper corner here, because this is already up high. And then I can just glue that in place, glue it to the flower. I'm going to bring it down a little bit. There we go. And if I want to make sure it's really glued down, I can put a little glue on my flower. Just a tiny bit. You don't need a lot. You know that expression, dot, dot, not a lot. There, that'll hold it in place. And now I'm ready for my gems. And this time I use the clear ones. One large and two small. At some point I might have to change that. So I'll run out of gems. They're so pretty. Look at this beautiful petal pink one. Where could I put that? Yep, I'm going to be good. I have a tendency to overdo, and then I'm sorry. So, okay, we got our card done already. So there you go. I will be posting all the info about this card shortly. I hope you enjoyed today and you learned something. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you tomorrow at 1. We will be making this card tomorrow using an interesting little technique with a doily. So see you tomorrow. I hope you had a good day. And don't forget to share and like if you've enjoyed this. See you tomorrow.